Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. As many of you may already know, Facebook is very addicting to most users. Very addicting, okay? But what if I told you it was created to be that way? Not just Facebook, but so many other platforms as well. Social media has become so very toxic that most of you can't even live without it, okay? Now, we do know that there are numbers of you who can say, you know, I don't need it. I don't have to log on to Facebook, don't need Instagram, can do without YouTube, Pinterest, all of these other sites that a lot of people gravitate to on a daily basis. A lot of you can do without it, okay? But for the most part, the majority of the population who has access to the internet cannot live without social media in some form or another. Now, a lot of us have tricked our minds into thinking that, you know what, I can go a whole year without even touching it, without even logging on. Now, there is a growing demographic of people who are actually doing just that. It is a growing demographic, but it is in no way near the numbers, the staggering numbers of people who depend on social media. Right now, because of social media, you are looking at this video, because YouTube is a social media platform that engages users by allowing you to comment on video. Okay, and so again, social media is one of those things that a lot of people have come to depend on, but it's very, very toxic. I'm going to roll a very short clip of someone who is actually admitting. They are actually admitting why Facebook itself was created and how it is very, very sinister, right? Very sinister and very, very dangerous. And we don't understand how. Many of you don't understand how, and you don't care. But there are those of us who do know this and realize it. But how deep have we already jumped in into this cesspool of social media? How deep have we already jumped in to where is no turning back now? How much information has already been gathered to where even if we try to pull the plug on it and close out accounts and deactivate and do this, that, and the other, how much damage has already been done? Okay, I'm going to roll this short clip and I will be right back.
It's not what I'm saying. I encourage you actually in Plugged In to find the latest interview with the chief engineer of Facebook, former chief engineer.
Richard found it.
Former chief engineer.
It's really
and he says we built it for addiction and we built it with these features, with negative features. And he said, I regret it, I feel horrible, I regret what I've done.
Yeah.
And now PBS came up with 2 programs about Facebook, which actually claim that it's an extremely, extremely sinister platform. And it is extremely sinister platform. I'm saying that it's extremely sinister because of the way it's designed and the algorithms behind it. And I'm saying this from the point of view of psychology, clinical psychology.
Yeah.
Not, of course you can make use of these platforms in numerous ways,
Sure.
but you're not encouraged to.
You're not rewarded for it.
You're not rewarded for it. I mean, I can give you a knife. And with a wink wink and a nod nod, I can tell you, if you stab Richard, I'll give you £4,000. And you know I'm good at it. I can do that. Or I can give you a knife and say, no, if you cut the bread for me, I'll be very grateful. I mean, depends how you're motivated. Many people would stab Richard. It's the instrument or the tool is only as good as what you are rewarded for.
Sure.
Rewards, incentive systems, and so on usually determine usage. I think if there was no fear of using knives on people, many more people would use knives on people. Because we have a negative incentive for using knives on people. We don't use them on people.
Sure.
This negative incentive is called prison. Simple.
If you took it away, then maybe people would
take that away, and trust me, there will be an epidemic of people stabbing people. So incentives, both negative and positive, regulate behavior. And to a very large extent, by the way, regulate emotions, which it would explain why anxiety, depression, and so on and so forth. Because if you're exposed to utterly negative territory where negative messaging is rewarded, where negativity rules, where negativity is retweeted and liked, etc., etc., obviously it will poison you. It's a toxic environment. And you're poisoned, simply. As surely as with arsenic in your food. You're poisoned. And your mind begins to change. Neuroplasticity guarantees that. Your mind begins to change. First of all, you begin to defend against this toxicity. Yes. And one way to defend is to withdraw. So many people withdraw. I believe social media is the most asocial invention of ever, like ever. It encouraged more asocial behavior than anything, before or after, in my view. Social media created an unprecedented wave of withdrawal and atomization. That's a reaction to negativity and so on. And on the other hand, those who have aggressive tendencies and so on would find social media an ideal turf. So they gravitate towards social media and of course enhance the toxicity. Yes. It's a self-perpetuating feedback loop, a filter, a negative filter, which amplifies and attracts and connects like-minded, aggressive, dangerous, lethal, crazy people. This amplification is known as network effect. Of course, all these platforms, social media, were designed as networks. Now you can say, wait a minute, what this guy is saying? I mean, that's a very trite statement. Of course it's a network. Social media network. Why? We have numerous ways of organizing social interactions. Why did social media choose networks? Why didn't they choose hierarchy? Why didn't they choose curated conversations with editors, moderators? Before social media came online, we had other ways of interacting online in the cyber world, which had nothing to do with networks.
Now, as you all see, there is an admission here. It was created for the very reason of doing what it's doing, which is gathering information, riling people up, and creating an addiction. If I remember, I will leave the link to the whole video in the description area. But what I think we all need to realize is that social media was kind of like handed to us like a gift, okay? They give it to us, and they create all of this hype and desire. Okay, you get to link up with family, you get to share pictures, you get to share content, but you also get to engage in behavior that is very toxic. You have Facebook battles that have led to the deaths of people. And you have people going back and forth with each other. So much negativity going back and forth. Of course, we get the positive stuff too. You get the good with the bad, right? And so many of us say, well, you know what? It's all in what you engage in, right? But people who had intentions of getting on Facebook for good reasons, they find themselves being drawn into the negativity or the toxicity of Facebook as well. And that's with any social media platform, you find yourself being drawn into it because it was designed like that. It was designed to create a hunger and a thirst for that which isn't good for you. Whenever you log onto any social media site, okay, even if you have intentions of just checking an email or looking at pictures that someone has shared with you, you find yourself being pulled into something. And as you are looking at this information, regardless to what it is, sometimes it can be good information, sometimes it can be bad. But regardless to what it is, that information is being downloaded into your spirit, okay? And it is actually applied to your life. It becomes a part of you from the moment you read it or hear it. Now, you may ask yourself, how is that possible? Think of your brain as a computer. With this computer, you have just recorded whatever that information is, whether good or bad. And for the most part, a lot of social media has been a source for very bad, toxic information. And people are processing that stuff through their system on a daily basis. At any given moment of the day, we are processing this information. And if we don't know how to properly discard this information, that toxicity then downloads and stays in your system, and it becomes a part of your mental fabric. That is the danger of social media. Some of the other dangers of social media is the fact that we have put ourselves out there. Okay? Through social media, the government and all of these companies and organizations, they are able to track your every move. They are able to decipher your thoughts because they look at your spending patterns, your search patterns, your conversation patterns. Don't think for 1 minute when, just say those who go into Facebook jail for certain things, they are logging what it is you were put in Facebook jail for. And so they use this and they keep this in their database to determine, okay, is this person a possible threat? Okay, if you are hurling threats on social media, even if it's in a YouTube comment section. I talked about this before on one of my videos some time ago, and I said that what are we doing when we actually get in the comment section and we are making threats about what we would do if we were in a certain situation? That information is being recorded and it goes into a database and it is stored. And so not only is social media very toxic, it's very dangerous, and it is a trap. It's very much a trap because it is luring you into saying things that you probably wouldn't say in front of law enforcement, but is giving you that boldness to say it on social media. And because most people are not wise in how they frame their words, you've probably said enough on social media to have you thrown in prison. There is a way that you can frame words to where you cannot be accused of threatening anyone, okay? One thing that I like to do, especially if someone is being threatening to me, we don't know if this is who that is behind the screen who is actually hurling these threats in many cases. Of course, sometimes you know who it is, right? But in some cases you don't know. And so what if this is someone provoking you to say the words that you're saying so that they can trap you? Okay, so social media has become one of those addictions that have caused people to literally put not only their lives in danger, but the lives of their family, their livelihood. You have people losing their jobs over things they've said on social media, all kinds of things. So this epidemic of social media has gotten so out of control. It's so out of control that there is no undoing. There's no undoing the damage that has already been done. So from this point on, all I can say to you is I want to caution you on how you use social media. I know that I'm a day late and a dollar short. Many of us have already said things similar to this in times past. No one seems to really take heed to it. So as often as I can, I think we should bring these reminders to the forefront. And thank you to the person who shared that particular video with me, because I think sometimes our focus does get pulled in the wrong direction and we are not really looking at the big picture. We're so excited about this. We want to share this information. We want to talk about that. As a matter of fact, racial topics are off the charts. It gets to the point where I am tired of covering them. I do see the necessity of doing that, but I also see that we've got to figure another way to deal with these topics, because when people are angry and they're hearing all of this information that causes them to be angry, they have got to learn how to channel that anger better, because social media is recording your every word, and thus they are processing your thoughts, because words are nothing more than expressed thoughts. Okay, so family, I hope that you can get something out of this information that I've just shared with you. And with that, I will say shalom. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.